Hi, Bill Naylor here. This is an SE Tools presentation. Today we're going to focus on the GigaStor Portable and how we can use this to be a more effective tool using some shortcuts and some software. Alright, so as a way of introducing this toolkit, I want to give you a couple of examples of how it might be used. So on the screen I've got some information over here. So suppose my question is, how long has this GigaStor been running? Well, I can see the boot time and date right here. What's the IP address? I can see that right here. What's the default gateway? Does it have a DHCP server? Also, what was the last time the screen was refreshed? In other words, was it, I can manually refresh that with one of these shortcuts, and OS version and whatever other interesting information you want to add in here, right? I've got my contact info up there as well. So suppose my question is something different. Suppose I want to know, is the observer service running? Well, normally I would do, start, go to my computer, right click, manage, wait a few seconds, go to services, scroll down. Where is that service? Is it observer or Viavi? Wait, here it is. It's observer expert. No, I need to start it. Okay, I can start it. So that's a lot of clicking, and it kind of looks goofy on the screen, and especially if you're in a hurry and trying to get something configured, it's awkward. How about if I want to know if the observer service is running, I can just double click on a shortcut on the desktop, and it'll take a few seconds and it'll say it's running. It tells me it's running. How about if I want to stop the service? I can do it just like that, and it'll tell me that it's stopped. If I want to restart it again, I can restart the service. Same thing is true with the Apex services. You'll notice that I've got shortcuts for those as well. So this is all part of the kit, including both a reboot shortcut and a shutdown shortcut, right? So this is especially useful if you're in an environment where you're RDP'd into the unit somewhere else, and all of a sudden, gosh, we're out of time, I got to go pull this thing out. You can shut it down before you shut down the RDP session, and that will work. The other shortcut here is a BG info refresh. More on that later, but that refreshes this information. So the way the toolkit is set up is it's going to, if you follow the instructions, it'll reboot. Every time it'll reboots, it will refresh this screen, and then you can manually refresh it with that shortcut. These windows here will stay until you close them, so they just tell you whatever the current status is of that particular service. So now that you've seen a little bit of the benefit of this, let me get into how to set it up and get it going. Before we get there, I just want to take a minute and talk about how you can use the portable. I keep Apex Enterprise loaded on my system along with some custom dashboards. An even better scenario than that would be have the customer agree to install Apex on their system, and that way the portable will feed their data, and when you leave you take the GigaStor with you and they can still have some dashboards and work with it. So that kind of works pretty well if we can get them to do that. So either way, that works. Now a lot of what makes this work is using the desktop. So between the shortcuts and the information that you see on the right here, that stuff is done with a tool called BG Info. That is it's a software product made by a subsidiary of Microsoft. It basically paints whatever information you want to pull from the system along with whatever you want to add, and it paints it on the desktop, and then it exits memory. So it's very efficient, nice and easy to do, and I'll show you how to put it in your startup folder so that every time you boot the system, it refreshes. So that's a pretty useful thing, I think. You've already seen how these shortcuts work. Essentially, each one of these shortcuts points to a batch file. So part of this kit is two directories that will go on your system. One is for the batch files, and one is for the BG info stuff. Reboot and shutdown, just note that there's no warning there. They will do exactly what you say, and the BG info refresh just updates that screen information. Now let's take a look at the steps. First, copy the contents from this directory onto the desktop of your GigaStor portable. There's a BATS directory and a BG info directory. follow these instructions to create the BGInfo refresh shortcut, also on the desktop. Now, copy that shortcut file to this directory, and this is a hidden directory, so we have to copy and paste it from either this presentation or the Word doc that's in that directory. Now you're going to create all the other shortcuts, and you see each target is a batch file in that BATS directory. So once you get those created, and these are optional, so if you're not going to use Apex on your system, for example, don't use it, but they're all pretty useful. It's all the same process. Right-click on the desktop, do a new shortcut, point to it, and then come back later and go to the Properties tab and change the icons appropriately. Your last step is to run BGInfo from that BGInfo directory on your desktop and click in the blue area that shows the file content. And once you do that, it stops a timer. Then you can make whatever changes you want. And once you file save that, your installation is complete. So there's the BATS directory and the BGInfo directory. Just put those on your desktop. Here's the BATS directory contents. Here's the BGInfo directory contents. So that's pretty much it. Hope this was helpful. Thanks for watching.